All right, folks, what is going on? Back with another video, and today I want to talk about 007 First Light, game made by IO Interactive. This is becoming my favorite game of the year. I am 100% enjoying this, and shout out to these guys because they just sold 1.5 million copies of their game in 24 hours. This is something that I didn't see coming. I'm pretty sure they probably didn't see coming. Even with the 007 name, this is still a pretty big feat for this franchise because Bond games haven't really been that popular. I mean, let's just be honest. After GoldenEye, everything else is just like whatever. And you gotta understand, GoldenEye is an N64 game. That's a game that came out a very long time ago. So for this game to do what it does in the way that this game is being received is absolutely phenomenal. So I'm giving my thoughts and opinions about the overall insight of this feat, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this content. Look, I knew 007 First Light was going to be a really solid game when I first saw the trailer. I thought that this game was going to be something that's going to stand out a bit because this was a game that we haven't had in a while, a third person over the shoulder action game. I mean, these games were prominent back in the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era, and a little bit of the PS4 era. But since the last, let's say, since what the COVID era, games like this have been few and far between. They just haven't been as prominent, and we are starting to see a shift where a lot of games from pre-COVID era is starting to come back, and this is one of the first games that you really see that okay, we're getting back to what we're used to seeing all the way back then, and even going further back to the PlayStation 2 days, where you had a lot of action adventure games where it feel like you're immersed into the actual story, the actual atmosphere, and everything. This is one of those games that we're really starting to see where that is taking precedent. And I got to give IO Interactive for credit for that because they, a game or a company that just came out and just really say, hey, look, we're just going to take something back to the basics with a really cool story with an iconic character, and we're going to try to make it work. They didn't try to sell us with microtransactions. Even though they do have some DLC there, they didn't try to sell us with that. They didn't try to go over the top with a crazy multiplayer or nothing that will nickel and dime you with any free to play stuff. They just want to give you a good experience while holding a controller and or a mouse and keyboard. And this is what a lot of gamers have been wanting for a very long time. I can say at least 4 to 5 years I've been looking for something in this light. It's only so many times that you could play a Grand Theft Auto and have that type of experience that gives you this type of satisfaction. You just need something new. We haven't had an Uncharted in a while. We haven't had a Tomb Raider in a while. These type of games. Resident Evil in Capcom is like probably like the only company that really gave you that type of experience. And shout out to them because Requiem was great. But when you start to see something of a different fashion that is somewhat of a throwback to the early to mid 2010s, this is something that a lot of people gravitating to, and 1.5 million copies sold is just telling you that, hey, even a small company like this is really trying to make it happen. Now, I know there was a few Star Wars games that did this as well. So, it's not just isolated to the ones that I said, but the 1.5 million copies sold are something that's basically showing that IO Interactive is here to stay. They can be around for a while. And based on how this story is going within this game, this is a game that probably could spawn off a sequel. It could spawn off other stories within the story that can branch out into maybe a spin-off of the 007 series if IO can keep the license. And I think they can do a phenomenal job and build off of what they have. So there's a lot of games that we've seen in the past that done this, and they're just taking it and bringing it back to say, hey, look, this is what we need to do, and this is what the gamers want, and it's showing in kind. I personally, I find this game to be extremely fun. I find this game to be extremely immersive. I am digging the story. I'm digging the characters. I'm loving every bit of the mechanics and the visuals. Everything is just falling into place, and I'm just astonished that we're finally starting to see that companies are that well, you have companies that are understanding now how these games can work. It is very simple. From the games that I mentioned before to the RPGs that still try to keep it the same way, like I said, Expedition 33 in other games that are like that. you know, you really have games that basically just want to, gamers that basically want to have a simple experience. And First Light is starting to, give us a taste of what it was like, what, 10, maybe 15 years ago, where you had games that were just solid games. There's a reason why people are still looking for the Grand Theft Auto to be the savior, not because of these companies wanting sales, but you got gamers that really want this type of experience. And to be honest, First Light is a little bit of that. You get to drive in the car, you get to shoot stuff, you get to sneak around a little bit, you have some hand to hand combat. You got a lot of stuff going on here. So what IO Interactive has done is nothing but short of incredible. This is a game that deserves its just due, and it may be my favorite game of the year as of right now. I mean, we're what, almost halfway through the year, and this is what we got. You look at all the other games that came out in 2026. This is lining up to be a phenomenal year of gaming, and probably some of the best games that I can say that I like. It really hits me a little different because different games for everybody, right? But these type of games, these action adventure games, good story, I love these type of games. A good racing game, a solid sports title. You give me, anything that really captivates me to make me feel immersed into a game. I'm here for it every day, all day. And I think First Light is really, bringing that to the forefront. And I think that they could continue to build off this. So I mean, 1.5 million copies sold. They're probably well on their way to maybe 6 or 7 million copies at the end of their run, and that will be phenomenal for basically a below, you know um below double A, maybe double A company. This is not like a triple A company or a triple A title. You can look at it and play the game and tell that this is not you're necessarily a triple A type of game. And they're really making bank off of it on the back end, because I'm pretty sure that this game didn't cost that much to make compared to these other big name titles, and they're probably going to make money back, and definitely I can see a sequel coming from this based on what I played so far. So I'm extremely excited. I'm going to be finishing this game up within the next probably few days, and I'm really enjoying this. So if you want my opinion on this, I'm not necessarily giving a total review, but the fact that they sold 1.5 million copies, and I understand why, because I'm playing the game. I can honestly say, yeah, go pick this up. This is a game that is probably a must buy. I was hesitant to say that at first because I didn't know what direction this was going. But after being in this game for about 5 or 6 hours, yeah, you should pick this up. This is a must buy. So shout out to IO Interactive. Shout out to 007 First Light. James Bond is back. Shout out to the gamers who have experience in this, because they are having a great time. This is a really, really solid game, and I'm here for it. So you guys let me know what you think. Have you picked this game up yet? Have you thought about picking it up? Are you saying no to this game? And I would like to know why. But I think that if you try this game out, you will be pleasantly surprised. I am extremely satisfied with picking this game up, and like I said in my other video, gaming is definitely healing. With this Modern Warfare trailer, Forza Horizon, beginning of the year with Requiem, I mean, this is a pretty good time for gaming right now. So, outside of the prices of consoles and stuff, but that's a different story. But nevertheless, I'm gonna get out of here. You guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you did. And I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, y'all take it easy. Y'all be blessed. Peace.